from closed session, and I have the following disclosure. By a 4-0 vote with Vice Mayor Robles absent, the City Council authorized and directed the City Attorney's Office to defend the cases of Say-Chu versus the City of Elk Grove and Rogers versus the City of Elk Grove as identified by the case number on the City Council meeting agenda. With that, we will adjourn the special meeting at 6 p.m. And at this time, I would like to call to order the Elk Grove City Council regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, October the 8th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. This meeting of the Elk Grove City Council is recorded with closed captioning. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs Channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. The recording will also be video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Tonight's meeting replays will be on Friday, October 10th at 1 p.m. and Monday, October 13th, also at 1 p.m. on Metro Channel 14. Once posted, the recordings of this and previous meetings can be viewed on demand at 3wselkgrove.gov or youtube.com/metrocable14. For members of the participating audience who may have personal electronic devices, please place them on silent mode during the meeting or on mute when you are not speaking. Elk Grove City Council welcomes, appreciates, and encourages participation in the City Council meeting. City Council requests that you limit your presentation to 3 minutes per person so that all present will have time to participate. City Council reserves the right to reasonably limit the total time for public comment on any particular noticed agenda item as it may deem necessary. Pursuant to Resolution Number 2010-24, no individual speaker concerning public comment may address the City Council for more than 3 minutes. If you wish to address the Council during the meeting, please complete a blue speaker card, which can be found at the back of the chamber and provided to Assistant City Clerk Brenda Haggard prior to consideration of the agenda item. Thank you, Mayor. With that, I will move into our roll call. And starting with the roll call, I will start with Councilmember Spies.
Present.
Councilmember Brewer.
Present.
Councilmember Suen.
Here.
Vice Mayor Robles is absent, and Mayor Singh-Allen.
All right, thank you. Next up is our land acknowledgement. We honor, respect, and acknowledge Elk Grove's first inhabitants, the Plains Miwok, who lived as sovereign caretakers of this land and these waterways since time immemorial. We commemorate and advocate for their descendants, the Wilton Rancheria tribe, the only federally recognized tribe in Sacramento County, who endure because of the bravery, resiliency, and determination of their ancestors, tribal members, and leaders. Thank you. Next up is our Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to invite Chief Davis to please lead. Thank you. Please join us for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. May I get an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item.
Under Section 3, there are no closed session items on the regular agenda, so that will advance us to Section 4, our presentations and announcements. And that first item being item 4.1, the proclamation recognizing October 13th, 2025 as Indigenous Peoples Day.
All right, at this time, I would like to invite up representatives from the Wilton Rancheria tribe while Councilmember Rod Brewer reads the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And good evening, Chairman Tarango. I hope you're doing well today.
Yes, sir.
And it's going to be a nice week. We have great weather and everything else, but as we head into Indigenous Peoples Day, we'd like to read this short proclamation in acknowledgement of that upcoming holiday. Whereas the City of Elk Grove honors the Plains Miwok, the area's first and rightful inhabitants, and all Indigenous peoples whose cultures and contributions have shaped the city. And whereas we recognize the ongoing impacts of systemic racism that contribute to inequities in health, education, income, and social outcomes for Indigenous communities, and support efforts to close these gaps through inclusive policies that honor Indigenous histories, voices, and rights. And whereas on December 16th, 2010, the United States endorsed the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, which recognizes that indigenous peoples have suffered historic injustices through colonization and the loss of their lands, territories, and resources. And whereas Article 15 of the Declaration affirms the right of indigenous peoples to the dignity and diversity of their cultures, traditions, histories, and aspirations, which should be reflected in education and public information, and calls on states to take effective measures in consultation and cooperation with the indigenous peoples concerned to combat prejudice, eliminate discrimination, and promote tolerance, understanding, and good relations among indigenous peoples and all other segments of society. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Elk Grove hereby proclaims Monday, October 13th, 2025 as Indigenous Peoples Day in the City of Elk Grove, and urges all residents to reflect on the ongoing struggles of Indigenous peoples, including the epidemic of missing and murdered Indigenous people. Support the prosperity and well-being of the Wilton Rancheria tribe, the only federally recognized tribe in Sacramento County, headquartered in Elk Grove, and celebrate the rich culture and lasting contributions of Indigenous peoples to our community, signed on this day, October 8th, 2025.
Tangi Kamu. Kuchi Ihema, Kanayasa Jesus Tarango, Tribal Chairman, Wilton Rancheria, and good evening, Mayor, and elected officials and all the community members in attendance. Before I get going with this, I wanted to make a comment. And I'm going to quote something, not so much verbatim, but in these words of a good friend of mine, Kevin Costner. You might know him. And when you talk about things that we're talking about tonight, you know, his thing to me was that he's ashamed of this country's history and what his people did. But he's not ashamed to tell that history so that it doesn't repeat itself. And so on a day like today, I just want to say that because I think those words are very powerful, especially coming from somebody not in my community, to recognize that. And I think that's sometimes what gets people off on the wrong track, you know, as to what our intentions are. And the intentions aren't to erase history, it's to tell it so that we don't repeat it, right? But I wanted to say that because that might spark other people's interest when you have people like that, you know, who's well known. I'd say he's a A-lister, good guy, but he's got a great heart. And I think that there's something to be said there about being ashamed of what his people did, but not ashamed to tell the story so that we don't repeat it. But on behalf of my tribe, Wilton Rancheria, I want to thank you for recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day here in Elk Grove. This acknowledgement is not about erasing history. It's about an understanding that for centuries, America's ancestors oppressed certain groups of people. And while we can't change the past, we can acknowledge and make history right today. That's what today represents, a chance to honor the truth, to recognize the first peoples of this land, and to celebrate our survival, resilience, and ongoing contributions to the future of our region. Elk Grove and the surrounding region are the ancestral homelands of our Miwok and Nisenan ancestors. And every time we gather, we walk on the ground that has held ceremony. We walk on the ground that have had songs sung. And we walk on the grounds where our stories have been here since time immemorial. Our tribe continues to invest in this community through education, cultural preservation, economic development, and partnerships that benefit everyone. We believe that healing and progress come from acknowledgement, collaboration, and shared stewardship of the land we all depend on. And so again, on a day like today, it is an honor for me to stand here representing my nation, but also wanting to recognize you folks for giving us this space. And also, I would say, understanding and recognizing that, again, we're not here to talk about the past. Acknowledge it, and we move on from that. And I think that's what we have here in Elk Grove. And I'm very happy for the future, and I know community members, the things you guys don't know, your city and the tribe and other entities, we want to make this place one of the best places in, I'd say, the state, but more importantly in the U.S., as to look at what Elk Grove's doing with their First Nations and all communities that reside here. So again, Tangi Kamu.
There. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Tarango, we're very excited about next month.
Oh, yeah.
Charting a new history, a new tradition as we proudly fly the tribal flag outside City Hall. Looking forward to that. Thank you. All right, so next up is our proclamation recognizing October 2025 as Domestic Violence Action Month. I would like to call forward Julie Seawold Bornhoft with Weave. Did I say it correctly? Yes. Oh, excellent. And assisting will be Councilmember Darren Soon.
Yes. Hi, Julie. Hi. Good evening, and it's my honor to present this proclamation for Domestic Violence Action Month. Domestic violence is the most common violent crime in our city and in many cities, so it's great to raise awareness about this. Whereas domestic violence is a community and public health matter for the city of Elk Grove, the state of California, and the nation, domestic violence affects people of all ages, racial, ethnic, genders, sexual orientations, socioeconomic, educational, religious, and occupational segments of our society. And whereas children who experience domestic violence experience physical abuse and neglect at rates much higher than the national average and have higher risks of substance abuse, cognitive and development problems, anxiety, and other trauma-related factors. And whereas combating domestic violence depends on everyone being willing to take action to recognize indicators of domestic violence, respond with compassion to those experiencing domestic violence, and providing referrals for safe and confidential services. And whereas public awareness and education about domestic violence are needed, as well as uniform efforts on the part of government, health professionals, law enforcement, religious organizations, educators, and community associations to address domestic violence through prevention, intervention, and treatment for victims and perpetrators. And whereas Weave is the oldest and most comprehensive provider of domestic violence services in Sacramento County, and in the last fiscal year answered over 11,000 calls to its 24/7 support and information line, provided 16,695 bed nights of emergency shelter to 166 adult and child victims of domestic violence, provided 24/7 response to 110 victims undergoing a domestic violence forensic examination, provided safety planning, advocacy, and crisis intervention to 3,656 victims through its Midtown Services Center and partner locations, provided individual and group counseling to 1,657 survivors of domestic violence, and provided legal assistance to 958 survivors of domestic violence. Whereas Weave works in partnership with the City of Elk Grove to respond to survivors of domestic violence through comprehensive supportive services, including the Violence Response Team in partnership with the City of Elk Grove Police Department, Weave exists to promote safe and healthy relationships and supports survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and sex trafficking. And Weave believes that when everyone acts, violence ends. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Elk Grove hereby recognizes the month of October 2025 as Domestic Violence Action Month and urges our citizens to partner with Weave to bring an end to domestic violence in our community. Thank you very much for your service, Julie, all these years.
Thank you. And I did just want to say thank you. There's a partnership going back over 2 decades now of near continuous advocacy and partnership and deep appreciation for the leadership from the city and particularly the Elk Grove Police Department.
Thank you. Come on.
Good to see you, Jordan.
He's just photographer tonight, you said.
All right, next up is proclamation declaring October 2025 as Disability Awareness Month. At this time, I would like to call up the Disability Advisory Committee, and assisting will be Councilmember Kevin Spees.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Come on up. Oh, hi. All right, so it's a proclamation for Disability Awareness Month, October 2025. Whereas the month of October 2025 has been designated as Disability Awareness Month to celebrate and recognize individuals with disabilities. And disability in no way diminishes the right of individuals to live independently, enjoy self-determination, make choices, contribute to society, and experience the economic, political, social, cultural, and educational mainstream of American society. Whereas the goals of this city include providing individuals with disabilities the opportunities and support to make informed choices and decisions, live in homes and communities where they can exercise their full rights, and pursue meaningful and productive lives, contribute to their family, community, state, and nation, and achieve full inclusion in society. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Elk Grove hereby proclaims October 2025 as Disability Awareness Month in the City of Elk Grove, and asks the community to join in honoring individuals with disabilities. Signed this 8th day of October 2025.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here to represent the Disability Advisory Committee to accept this proclamation. We enjoy serving the city, and we believe in the talent and potential of all individuals with disabilities. We know that the city supports that as well, and really the untapped potential is important, especially this month is also National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and so I'd like to recognize that unofficially as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. let's begin. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you? Good to see you. Congratulations. Red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
Yes, America is here.
Nice.
the black sheep.
Okay.
Kevin's got orange on for Taylor Swift.
I've got what?
Oh,
Tell you later. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
It's all these subliminal messages.
Taylor Swift? Is she orange? Oh, all right. I didn't know I was a Swiftie. Sure. Yeah. Her new album dropped this week. Come on. You didn't know?
No.
Now I do.
Now you know.
All right, next up is 4.4. Oh, I'm sorry, please.
No, I'm here for the
That is
next one.
4.4.
Right, I'm here for the next one. I'm
Yes,
supposed to say,
Oh.
yes.
Sorry. My fault.
yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? So now it's the recognition of the City of Elk Grove Disability Advisory Committee's 19th Annual Above and Beyond Program Accessibility Award.
Yes, thank you. My name is Daisy Hughes. I'm happy to be here tonight. I am a member of the Disability Advisory Committee, and I'd also like to introduce the other members of the DAC. We're also known as the DAC. Steve Capps is the chair, Ann Hennessy is the vice chair, Ted Clark is member. We also have a newly appointed member, Joe Xavier. And tonight, we also have here with us Jim Ramsey, our Elk Grove City Staff Liaison, who we appreciate so much. So yes, as you said, tonight we celebrate the city's 19th Annual Above and Beyond Accessibility Awards. The award was created to recognize individuals, organizations, and businesses that have gone above and beyond for individuals with disabilities in our community. This award is important to the DAC and the city because it recognizes Elk Grove's diverse community and this care and support provided to those with disabilities. The nomination application includes questions like, has the nominee provided services to Elk Grove residents with disabilities within the last 12 months? Are the services free from discrimination? Does the nominee get paid for the services they provide? What are the services? Why are they needed? And what is the benefit or impact on those receiving the services? The recipient of this year's award is EG Speaks, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower and uplift students with disabilities and their families within the Elk Grove Unified School District. EG Speaks serves children, families, individuals impacted by special education needs, including those with disabilities or learning differences. They provide advocacy, resources, parent education, and community support to ensure that these individuals receive the necessary educational accommodations and services to succeed. Over 10,000 EGUSD students qualify for special education services, including IEPs, which are individualized education plans, and 504 plans. With EGUSD being one of the largest school districts in the state, the needs are extensive and there are many gaps that need to be filled. EG Speaks programs focus on equity in education, empowerment and advocacy, parent education and support, inclusive communities, and resource connection. We want to thank EG Speaks for supporting those with disabilities and helping to provide them with opportunities they might not ordinarily get, and for going above and beyond by working so hard in so many ways for Elk Grove students. We would like to show EG Speaks our gratitude by presenting a plaque, and I will read the plaque. City of Elk Grove Above and Beyond Accessibility Award, honoring EG Speaks for outstanding and dedicated service to improving the quality of life for individuals with disabilities. Elk Grove, California, October 2025. At this time, I'd like to call Amanda Scott. She is EG Speaks CEO and President. She is here with us today and would like to say a few words.
Hello.
Hello.
We were here not too long ago for Autism Acceptance Month, so we're happy to be back here again. Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community members. On behalf of EG Speaks, I want to thank you deeply for this recognition. Receiving the Above and Beyond Award means so much, not just to our organization, but to the families, advocates, and individuals with disabilities who make up our community. Standing behind me here is my board and our volunteers, and some of our junior volunteers are up here with me too. This is our team, a core of our team. At EG Speaks, we believe that inclusion is not just an act of charity, it is an act of justice. Every child, every adult, every family deserves to belong in our schools, our parks, and our public spaces. Our work is grounded in the idea that change happens when people are seen, heard, and supported, when communities like Elk Grove listen and take action. This award isn't just for us, it's for every parent who spoke up for their child, every youth who shared their story, every advocate who showed up to a meeting, and every partner in the city who believes that accessibility and equity matter. We're proud to live and work in a city that values collaboration and recognizes the importance of going above and beyond, not just for one group, but for everyone. And we are excited to build upon this partnership by exploring opportunities through city initiatives, grants, and community investments that help make Elk Grove a place where every resident can thrive. We're deeply grateful for this honor and for the city's ongoing commitment to equity and inclusion. It is so visible through everything that the city provides in terms of events we've been so lucky to participate in and provide spaces for. The work ahead, from creating more accessible spaces and expanding advocacy programs, takes collaboration and resources. And we look forward to continuing to work with the city to identify opportunities that help us keep this momentum going. So thank you.
All right, congratulations. Great work, everyone. Thank you.
Mayor, can request we could take a picture with Elk Grove Speaks in the DAC?
Yeah, let's
with
do
the
it.
award? Would that be all right?
Everyone come up. We'll join you down there.
Oh, yeah. Got the award. Thank you. Congratulations.
Somewhere here.
Why don't you scoot this way? Here.
All right, I'm gonna just stick my head out here. We're good.
Would it be possible to bring, some of our shorter friends here to the middle here? One, two, three. One more time. One, two, three. All right, thanks everyone.
Mr. Ramsey, thank you for your work on the DAC too. Appreciate that.
All right. We are now moving on to our public comment. I will go ahead and open up the public comment opportunity. We have a few folks signed up. We'll start off with Gary Mendoza, followed by Imam Yasir Khan.
Evening, Mayor and Councilmen. I'm Gary Mendoza with Nanosecond Productions, and I'm here this evening to pretty much introduce and promote our TAP, our new program called TAP. A few years ago, Judy Tafoya and Nan Mahan, right here, most of you know who Nan is, along with others, formed the Art Advocacy Project. Now, its purpose was to bring more art to the community. That project has been revived and revisioned by Nanosecond Productions, Annie Pinoy Art, say hi, Annie Pinoy Art Gallery, and Ray, her husband. And of course, we've got our friend Anthony Flores, Tony Flores, say hi. All right, these guys are all on board. And the purpose is to bring together a partnership of visual, performing, and literary artists. Now, we will help each other to find work, exchange ideas, and promote art in all of its forms. The group will strive to influence matters politically, both at the city and community levels where art is concerned. So please contact us if you have any questions, any needs for our services. We'd be more than happy to talk with you. We do have our first mixer coming up, which will be held at the Annie Pinoy Art Gallery, again, Annie, okay, on October 26th from 2 to 4 p.m. And basically, that's pretty much it. Come and talk to us, okay? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next up is Imam Yasir Khan, followed by Kirk Thompson.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Imam Yasir Khan, and I serve as a religious leader here in Northern California. For more than a decade, since 2014, I've walked alongside families through some of their most difficult moments: drug overdoses, suicides, attempts, domestic violence, homelessness, and countless mental health crises that often go unseen. That's why I'm here tonight, not only as an imam, but as a community member, introducing a fully subsidized mental health resource called Student 365, part of Call a Doctor Plus, a program backed by Goldman Sachs and funded by the US Treasury Department. This program is not a grant, and it does not replace or compete with any existing mental health provider or district contract. It is simply free federal funding that every K-12 district in the United States can choose to accept or leave on the table. There are no fiscal implications, no reimbursements, and no strings attached. It's basically free money already allocated to support students, parents, and staff. Elk Grove Unified School District serves approximately 63,000 students, along with 6,700 staff, nearly 70,000 people in total. Through this program, each student and staff member is eligible for approximately $15 per year for 3 years. That translates to roughly $1 million per year, or over $3 million total over 3 years, and fully funded mental health services for this community. These funds provide 24/7 access to licensed counselors, pediatric behavioral health specialists, crisis support teams, and family assistance tools, accessible by phone, video, text, chat, or in person. The platform bridges the gaps when school counselors aren't available, evenings, weekends, holidays, and summer breaks, ensuring no student, teacher, or parent is left without support. I'm currently working with dozens of school districts nationwide to help them access the same resource. I would never stand behind something that wasn't proven, compliant, and real. As someone who has witnessed firsthand the human cost of untreated mental illness, I believe mental health is a human right for everyone, regardless of sexual orientation, gender, identity, religion, ethnicity, or income. Tonight, I'm asking for your support in encouraging Elk Grove Unified School District to explore this opportunity and to help me raise awareness across other school districts, perhaps you may have connections to, so that this free resource can reach as many communities and families as possible. This is a rare opportunity where doing the right thing doesn't cost anything. Millions of dollars are sitting unclaimed, waiting to be used to strengthen our students, educators, and families.
Thank you, Imam.
I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. I think your request is specific to the school district.
Yes.
And so I'm more than happy to reach out and help connect you with the
Yes.
right people
Thank you, Mayor.
there.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
thank
yes.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up is Kirk Thompson, followed by Lynn Wheat.
Last year, we saw how many would cheer a president's murder, and last month, we learned how many would cheer my murder. 2 years ago, I stood before this council warning about escalating rhetoric when I asked for help removing pornographic books from school libraries, books that are still there, by the way. For that, I was accused of making queer people unsafe and killing students. So let's be clear, words are not violence. Violence is violence, and we saw that on September 10th in Utah. Now, I took Charlie Kirk's murder personally. We share a name for sure, but it was more. In high school, I had dreamed about starting a movement like he did, kind of sparking conservative ideas among my college peers, marrying young, having a bunch of kids, advising leaders by 35. My wife, who hates politics, watched a bunch of his videos after his death and said, "He reminds me of you." That didn't sit well with me. Now, I had planned to come here proposing a Charlie Kirk Day in Elk Grove, kind of an olive branch to unite us through open dialogue and debate. But I watched your last two meetings, and that killed that idea. On the day Charlie Kirk was murdered, you praised speakers calling immigration enforcement disappearing people, a term that's origins implies war crimes like torture and execution. Great job lowering the temperature. Then on the 24th, the same day an anti-ICE lunatic shot up the Dallas ICE office, you spent 10 minutes stoking fear in our legal immigrant community to close your meeting. So my main takeaway from that little exchange was that if an illegal immigrant commits a hit and run on my wife, you won't be reporting them to ICE, Chief. I guess we can add an asterisk to serve and protect in Elk Grove? I hope not. Now, city government, especially the police, runs on public trust. I've always felt safe in Elk Grove, even before I moved here. But now, with local teachers openly celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder and this council's recent rhetoric, for the first time, I'm questioning my family's safety in this city. Could you trust a dispatcher, police officer, or firefighter who cheers the political murder aligned with your views? And your last two meetings seem to be justifying the violence that we saw in Utah, Dallas, and Sacramento's ABC 10 offices over the past month. So the last 30 days, you've to me, have really shown zero interest in representing people like me. So I'd have to assume you'd find a way to justify violence against me and my family. If you want to prove me wrong, a good way to start would be stop painting people like me as pro-terror squad for having center-right politics. That would be a good start. And if you want to put some action behind that, Madam Mayor, you have my email address. Please reach out to me. I am serious about doing a Charlie Kirk Day by next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Our final speaker is Lynn Wheat.
Good evening. So the city is looking at doing something about Old Town, and I remember when it was done before at $12 million of our taxpayer money. And so I went to social media and find it quite interesting that I'm not the only complainer or have negative ideas about what's going on. So let me share a few until I run out of my 3 minutes. So the thread started with, will the city ever get real about Old Town? If you haven't seen, the city of Elk Grove is running a campaign of sorts to solicit input for a reimagining of what Old Town can look like. They're featuring multiple towns and types of downtown personas. I'm all for bringing some life and culture to the area as it is a historic hub of the city and region. But come on, the mayor said years ago she envisioned something like the gas lamp of San Diego, and now getting people to get input about the persona the city might pursue. But are we going to ignore the elephant, read train in the room? The railroad is way too active to ever have anything developed around it, and the infrastructure of the building in existence is already suspect at best. It also doesn't help that Elk Grove Boulevard and Bond are the only two east-west roads through the entire city, both of which are controlled by the train schedule. Next commenter. It is hard to see Elk Grove having anything like the San Diego Gas Lamp District due to our obsession with chain and franchise businesses. Even today, you still do not see mass market chain businesses on 4th Avenue in San Diego. Also, another commenter, also Jim Croce is not available to start a restaurant or bar. I think the bigger issue than the train is that the existing businesses really aren't tailored for whichever persona wins. What are they going to do? Kick out all the existing businesses? Day spas and hair salons, another commenter. Day spas and hair salons seem to be numerous in the Old Town, not terribly exciting. I love Old Town as my kid, another commenter. I love Old Town as my kid goes to SOR. That being said, we live on the West End, and I'd love a walking strip to drink and eat at night and not blow the bank on an Uber home aside from the dang alley. Lots of laughs. I live east of Waterman Road. Old Town is just a choke point for me getting to and from other places in Elk Grove. I've been to some of the businesses there, and there isn't anything that appeals to me. Next commenter. Many old towns have trains that run through because a lot of this country was built around the train tracks. That way, that was the way goods moved in the old days. Last commenter I have time for. The only way Old Town becomes a real investable place is if a real frequent regional rail served the train station, and that won't happen. Elk Grove chose its path, and Old Town really doesn't fit the arc of development. Thank you, keyboard activists, and I most certainly hope that each and every one of them completes the survey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment. I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment opportunity and move on to our next item, which is our city manager's report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, Jason Behrman, your city manager. First of all, at the last city council meeting, the council had a brief discussion about immigration resources and things available on our website. So city does have a new online information and resource page to support immigrants in our community. The page highlights the city's commitment to maintaining a safe and inclusive Elk Grove, outlines our role in immigration enforcement, and provides links to prior statements, community diversity statistics, FAQs, and community resources such as the Sacramento Fuel Network. It also includes information about our Charter for Compassion and an FAQ section that provides a link for community members to learn more about Know Your Rights. For more information, visit the city's website, elkgrove.gov. There's a link on the main page. City has been recognized by Polco as a top performer in the Best in Governance Awards. It's a nationwide award. The award recognizes the city's transformation in education, arts, and culture based on what residents reported in the National Community Survey. Only 5 communities across the entire country receive this distinction, placing Elk Grove in truly elite company. We're proud to celebrate this achievement with our community. More than 60% of Elk Grove youth say that mental health is the top need in our community. That's why the Youth Commission is launching a new event. Walk with us on the path to positivity, a walk and a picnic for youth mental wellness this Saturday, October 11th, starting at 9:30 a.m. at Helmut Colton Park, which is at 9410 Laguna Springs Drive. Students are encouraged to grab a friend and join the free event to gain new resources, meet therapy animals, and connect with friends and the community. Elk Grove Animal Shelter is celebrating homecoming season by waiving adoption fees through Wednesday, October 15th. Find your forever homecoming date among the adopted animals at the Elk Grove Animal Shelter. Visit the shelter Tuesday through Sunday, noon to 6 p.m. at our animal shelter to view the adoptable pets. You can also view them online. And come on down and find your forever new family member. Let's see, high school marching bands from throughout Northern California will converge on Elk Grove streets and school sites this Saturday, October 11th, to compete in the Franklin High School Invitational Band Review. To accommodate the event, road closures and alternative routes around the event will be in place between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Motorists encouraged to plan accordingly. Franklin High School Invitational Band Review is the primary fundraising event for the Franklin High School Band Program. City of Elk Grove is among the major event sponsors. We're excited to share the city's 25th anniversary photo contest received over 100 submissions from talented community members. The Arts and Creative Economy Subcommittee has carefully reviewed all of the entries and selected the finalists. Finalists will be featured on the city's website, and residents will soon be invited to take part in voting for their favorite photo. The winners will be unveiled at the Elk Grove Fine Arts Center during a special reception on Saturday, November 8th. Everyone is invited. More information on voting opportunities and the unveiling event will be released soon. The city, of course, as everybody knows, city is planning a permanent homeless shelter in the city and is asking for community input on what matters most when choosing a location. A short online survey is open now through next Friday, October 17th. Residents are asked to rank key site criteria. Community feedback will guide how potential locations are evaluated and ensure the project reflects community values. Next Monday, you're invited to District 56 from 6:30 to 8:30 to celebrate Diwali. Magical evening celebrates the power of light over darkness and good over evil. The event is free to attend and open to all ages. The City of Elk Grove also is a major sponsor for this event. And finally, just in time for fall planting, the city's recycling and waste team has launched a new compost corner at Elk Grove Park. Elk Grove residents can pick up free compost at a self-serve station located in the parking lot at Elk Grove Florin and East Stockton Boulevard during normal park hours starting this Friday, October 10th, until the weather turns bad. This is a self-service station, meaning residents need to bring their own containers and shovels and take as much as they want. Supplies are limited, but will be replenished weekly, weather permitting. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
All right, thank you for that thorough report. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Thank you. Next up is our consent calendar items. At this time, I will go ahead and open up the public comment opportunity for consent. I don't see anyone signed up. Going to close public comment. Any questions or comments? If not, I look for approval.
Move consent.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, 8.1.
And item 8.1 is actually 3 public hearings to consider various annexations into community facilities district and assessment districts for the Coral Blossom Apartments project as delineated by staff.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, who's not here, and City Council, council members. I am Cindy Tiffany, and I'm a finance and budget analyst. I'm here to present the proposed annexations. The city currently maintains 8 special tax districts. Annexations into appropriate districts are part of the project approval project. Requirements are specific for each project and vary according to geographic location, and building use. And these rates are adjusted annually. The project I bring today is the annexation of the Coral Blossom Apartments. They would be annexing it into 3 districts. The project is a multifamily residential project made up of 81 family units. The annexation requirements for this project are CFD 2006-1 maintenance district, the maintenance services, the street maintenance district, and the stormwater drainage fee. The project is located south of Calvine Road along the west side of Elk Grove, Florin. This concludes my presentation. I'm here if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. At this time, I will declare the public hearing for CFD 2006-1 Annex 104 open and open up public comment opportunity. No one has signed up to speak. I'll close public comment and declare the public hearing for CFD 2006-1 Annex 104 is now closed, and look for motion A1.
Motion A1.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. What are the results of the ballot tabulation?
Of 81 possible votes, 81 affirmative votes were cast authorizing the city of Elk Grove to levy a special tax at the rate apportioned and described. The measure passes with more than 2/3 of all votes cast in the election in favor of the measure. Resolution declaring the results of the election is available for council consideration.
Thank you. Looking for motions A2 and A3.
Motion A2 and A3.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, I would like to declare the hearing for SMD 3-AT Annex 57 open and open up public comment. No one has signed up to speak. I'm closing public comment. Declaring the public hearing for SMD 3-AT Annex 57 is now closed, and request the results of the ballot tabulation.
There is no majority protest of 81 possible votes weighted according to the proportional financial obligation for the property. 81 affirmative votes were returned. The ballot approves the proposed assessment and the proposed inflation adjustment limit described for the parcel identified in the ballot. A resolution determining the levy assessments in the district is available for council consideration.
Thank you. Looking for motion B.
Motion B.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, I would like to declare the hearing, public hearing for SWDF Annex 74 now open and open up public comment. No one signed up to speak. I'm closing public comment and declaring that the public hearing for SWDF Annex 74 is now closed, and look for the results of the ballot tabulation.
And again, there is no majority protest of 81 possible votes weighted according to the proportional financial obligation for each property. 81 affirmative votes were returned. The ballot approves the proposed assessment and the proposed inflation adjustment limit described for the parcel identified in the ballot. A resolution determining the levy assessments in the district is available for council consideration.
Thank you. Looking for motion C.
Motion C.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we are moving on to our next item, 9.1. Receive the results of the 2025 National Business Survey.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Councilman. My name is Tish Mann. I'm an economic development analyst. And today I will be presenting about insights from the National Business Survey, which we conducted earlier this year. My recommendation this evening is to simply receive the results of the survey. For some background, ever since 2009, the city has conducted a resident opinion survey every 2 years called the National Community Survey. And this survey is done in partnership with Polko Inc. and the National Research Center. And it's a survey that's endorsed by local government associations like ICMA and the National League of Cities. And they also offer a national business survey. It's a newer offering, but it works the same way, but instead of resident opinions, it's about business owner opinions. So for the first time in the city's history, the Office of Economic Development conducted the survey from February 12th to March 19th earlier this year. And the full report is now available on the city's website. And the idea is that these insights will help us understand business needs, and then that can inform city strategies and goals. The survey includes a mix of standard questions from Polko and NRC and custom questions that staff developed in partnership with them. The outreach strategy included 3 touch points, Every business, so all 5,000 plus businesses in our community received a postcard, a letter, and a reminder in the mail. And we also did social media as well. We received 146 responses, which translates to a 3% response rate, which we hear is typical for a city of Elk Grove size. And I just want to emphasize that we did make extensive efforts to drive participation to the survey. We're not super pleased with the response rate. We expected it to be higher, but if we do decide to do the survey again, we think those numbers will increase. They use a concept called the national benchmark, where they compare Elk Grove to reference communities. So they take the average score of all the communities who took the survey and compare that average score to Elk Grove score. So if you see something that says higher than the national benchmark, that just means we did higher than the average community. If you see similar to the national benchmark, that means we did similar or in line with other communities. And lower than the national benchmark means we did lower than the average community. Some things to keep in mind are that scores can be high but still rank lower than the average community. For example, you might see 70%, which is good, but for whatever reason, it's still lower than the benchmark. And we also don't know the precise average scores being used for comparison. So meaning we don't know like how high or how low the score is compared to the average, but we can probably get that from Polko. And another thing to keep in mind is that the benchmarking pool is small. We are early adopters of the survey, so it's not that hundreds of communities have taken the survey and we can compare ourselves to them. Some of the survey limitations are that there was a low response rate, and that makes it difficult to draw meaningful conclusions about the broader business community. So, I mean, the methodology details for that are explained in the report online, but one way to think about this is that the results are indicative of the views of the 146 survey respondents, not indicative of the views of the entire business community. So I will be saying respondents instead of business owners as I go through this. So now I'm gonna start highlighting fairly quickly some key insights. And I'm glad to circle back if something catches your eye. I'll be pointing out things like the top 3 and the bottom 3, and occasionally singling out certain findings. But this is a really light agenda this evening, so I'm not trying to keep you guys here for too long. Yeah. Okay, so first is quality of life. So how this reads is that 89% of survey respondents rated Elk Grove as an excellent or good place for children and families, and that is in line with other communities. And now I'm looking at the last one here that says 88% of survey respondents said they are very or somewhat likely to recommend living in Elk Grove to someone who asks, and that is also in line with other communities. And then on a less positive note, right in the middle, 49% of survey respondents rated Elk Grove as an excellent or good place for young adults, which is lower than the average community. Moving on to facets of livability. The highest rated characteristics of Elk Grove are the overall quality of parks and recreation opportunities, the overall feeling of safety, the overall economic health. To me, that rings Measure E related successes. I do want to point out that only 49% of respondents rate the overall opportunities for education, culture, and the arts as excellent or good. But that's already changing, right? Well, first, we're not super surprised because Elk Grove isn't known as an arts destination yet, but that is already changing. Like with the revamping of the Arts and Creative Economy Commission, with bringing the Mural Festival to historic downtown next spring, that number is expected to increase.
Quick question on
Yeah.
that side. Education, what does that mean? Is that
So-
K-12, EGUSD, which I know ranks very highly, so what is it in this context?
I think it means broadly K through 12 and universities and colleges as well. And it might consider like training programs too, but yeah, I would have to know exactly what their definition of education is. I'd have to check with them. So I can always circle back to you on that, okay. And then this slide is just about how these survey respondents generally feel safe in their commercial area in the day and after dark. Moving on to community amenities, the top-rated community amenities were overall appearance of Elk Grove, cleanliness of Elk Grove, and the variety of service establishments like salons and dry cleaners and so on. So that checks out, it sounds like us. The lowest rated community amenities were opportunities for tourism, opportunities to attend cultural arts and music activities, and hotel and lodging options. All of those we rate below the average community. and not super surprising to hear that. But one thing I wanted to point out is that, these scores might have been lower in the past, but this is our first time doing this survey, so we have nothing to compare it to, but for all we know, these numbers could represent significant improvements. I want to point out on this slide that 58% of survey respondents rated the quality of shopping opportunities as excellent or good, and 60% of the respondents rated the quality of restaurants and places to eat as excellent or good, and both of those are below the national benchmark. Not a huge surprise, but we are already addressing these areas with initiatives like the Brewery, Restaurant, and Winery Incentive Program. We've already done 3 grants, and it's only been a couple of years since that program's been in existence, and there's more in the pipe. And also, we're already seeing a change in our local economy with, in the past year and a half, maybe 2 years, we've welcomed Nordstrom Rack and Macy's and other high-end retail companies, and we're seeing restaurants from Midtown like Station 16, later Interlude, we have Kajiken. So as our landscape changes, this number should go up if we do the survey again.
Tish, sorry, can you back, just because over the recent weekend with the Wi-Fi going down in the park and around, this internet connection, where are we? We approved the contract for Verizon and AT&T, and I know it's their own pace, but does somebody know where we are at with getting these small cells and things up around our city?
So I know we have a broadband feasibility study that's really early on. It's still being developed, but I think later this year, there's going to be a presentation about it. And it's a feasibility study where they're going to address the broadband needs in our city.
Yeah, I think more specifically, so the Verizon facility at District 56, I believe construction has started on that. They've started doing some utility work out on Civic Center. There's an AT&T site down at the Mesa apartment complex that's on hold pending some resolution of site development issues out there. There was one, I believe, on the east side of town that's also approved that I don't think it's quite started construction yet, but should be moving forward soon. Verizon's also brought online their facility at Ledick Park, so that's helping with some issues. But Tish is right, yeah, we've got some other stuff around broadband we continue to look at that's more about site broadband service as opposed to cellular service.
The cellular, okay, the Wi-Fi.
Unfortunately, in the case of Saturday, a lot of the different operators were utilizing the same backbone, which was hit in the incident. And so it created bottlenecks for Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Consolidated Communications. All 4 of them were affected.
Wow, okay, thank you.
And just real quick, in terms of small cell devices, we can get back to you on the number that have been installed relative to our agreements with the various companies.
Oh, that'd be fantastic, because those contracts, we approved those 4 or 5 years ago, so I'm just waiting. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, thank you, that'd be great.
Thank you. Moving on to business climate. 70% of respondents rated Elk Grove as an excellent or good place to do business. 91% said that they are somewhat or very likely to keep their business in Elk Grove for the next 5 years. Apparently, we could do better when it comes to communicating during city construction, when it comes to streets and utilities, etc. We are lower than the average community in that area. With workforce support, I want to point out that the top 3 challenges, or the most common challenges, are cost of living, affordability of housing, and affordability of childcare. Only 24% of respondents rate the cost of living in Elk Grove as excellent or good. 26% of respondents rate the affordability of housing as excellent or good in Elk Grove, and 29% of respondents rate the affordability of childcare as excellent or good in Elk Grove. And all these things impact workforce, employees. But I do want to say that these issues aren't exclusive to Elk Grove. They're happening all across California and across the nation because of the affordability crisis, broadly speaking. So this slide I want to point out that 40% of survey respondents rate the affordability and variety of education and training opportunities as excellent or good. That's something to know, to keep in mind as we develop our workforce development strategies. When it comes to workforce readiness, again, we see cost of living and lack of affordable quality housing as an issue for workers. And that's not only an issue for them, but it's also an issue for businesses or business owners in terms of their ability to attract workers to Elk Grove and also sustain them when they do get employed. And there is an indicator of an issue around our employees and employment options not having the educational qualifications and skills needed for their job. We rate lower than the average community in those areas. And when it comes to business growth, 74% of respondents expect their business to grow in the next 5 years. 61% report that they have grown in the past 5 years. And 33% plan to hire in the next 6 to 12 months. What might they be hiring for? Mostly it's semi-skilled jobs, and then after that, skill jobs. So these are jobs that require some knowledge of a trade or a skill, but not highly specialized. So things like truck drivers and typists and electricians and plumbers and administrative assistants. Moving on to governance. We apparently do really well. We are above average when it comes to recycling and having ample public parking in commercial areas. We are also really good with fire services, police services, garbage collection. 95% of respondents rate fire services as excellent or good. We do pretty well with street cleaning, utility billing, traffic enforcement. I want to point out that 28% of respondents rate the traffic flow on major streets as excellent or good. So that's something that we know, and we keep that in mind as we welcome new developments to our city. And as council knows, we're making huge investments in infrastructure solutions that can address that, such as the White Lock interchange. Also want to point out that 45% of respondents report having an excellent or good experience obtaining planning and building permits, and 46% of respondents report having an excellent or good perception of code enforcement, and those are both lower than the average community. When it comes to governance, we have really healthy scores about leadership. We're in line with other communities here. Generally speaking, these survey respondents believe that the Elk Grove government acts in the best interest of the community. They believe in the overall direction that Elk Grove is taking. They have confidence in Elk Grove government, and they have a positive view about the value of services for the taxes paid to Elk Grove government. 72% of respondents rate the quality of services offered by the city of Elk Grove as excellent or good. And then as you go up the ladder of government, that number goes down. So only 30% of respondents rate the quality of services provided by the federal government as excellent or good. And then I have custom questions before we wrap up with demographics. So 63% of respondents said they are that it was somewhat to very easy to start their business in Elk Grove. We don't have a national benchmark because this is a custom question. The top 3 challenges that they faced when starting their business was building a customer base, finding a suitable location, and accessing affordable and quality broadband. Then the types of support that would have really benefited them in their initial startup phase. The top 3 are marketing and sales support, financial support like grants and loans, and financial advice. In terms of operating or expanding their business, financial challenges was the most common challenge. So that's financial management and maintaining profitability. And here the slide is about racial and social disparities. More minority-owned businesses report having challenges related to finances, market competition, and accessing startup capital than non-minority-owned businesses. And then more women-owned businesses report having more challenges related to accessing startup capital than male-owned businesses. And women-owned businesses are also less likely to recommend operating a business in Elk Grove than male-owned businesses. So who took the survey? 62% of the respondents were white, and they are overrepresented in the survey when you compare them to our internal database of business owner demographics. And then 15% of respondents were Asian, and that they are underrepresented in our survey when you compare them to our internal database. 14% were Latino or Hispanic, and they are pretty much accurately represented. And then 9% were Black or African American, and they were also underrepresented in the survey. And then I just want to mention that our internal database of business owner demographics includes 750 data points, and that's growing. And we got that from business licenses and grant applications. 50% of respondents were men, 44% were women. Most of the survey respondents were 45 to 54 years old. 15 were disabled, 11 were veterans, 11 were veterans, and 42 were home-based. And there is no fiscal impact related to this report. Before I take questions, I just want to say that you might have seen a lot of below average scores, but really what sets us apart as a community, and we are one of the only communities that has conducted this survey. So we're actually asking these questions, we're actually looking for insights. We're not just guessing what the problems are, we're really listening and having difficult conversations, and that's what sets us apart. So yeah, these insights give us a clear starting point, and then we can all work on improving them together. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Before we get to the questions, I'm going to open up public comment. I do not have anyone signed up to speak. I'll close public comment. Was one of the questions of these businesses, I'd be curious to see how many of them are also residents. Was that a question that was asked at all?
So we don't have access to that information because it was anonymous. We don't even know the type, like who took it. Yeah.
So you wouldn't consider this to be a scientifically accurate?
Yeah, that's
survey,
true.
is
Yeah,
it?
it
It's
didn't take a random sampling, so it's not technically scientifically accurate or valid. No traditional margin of error was calculated. Yeah, because what they did is they polled all 5,000 businesses instead of taking a random sample, so that kind of disqualifies them from being technically valid, statistically valid.
Okay, so are we imagining this to be an annual thing, or?
It would be biannual, to take place on the opposite years of the National Community Survey. But if we don't want to do it again, we don't have to. We could try it one more time and see if the response rate goes up. If it doesn't, then maybe we just.
Well, I'm not as interested in, I'm more interested in how many respond. That's a more accurate sampling of the business community, so that if there are areas. What I found this to be, it was all over the map. There just didn't seem to be a lot of consistency or themes or anything. So it's a little hard for me to really wrap my head around the data that we're seeing here when it's not it's not a scientifically based, it's random. I would like to see how we can improve it, because I do think there's value in the data. But as long as we're getting and capturing the actual data, the disproportionality of even the ethnic breakdown, that also poses some challenges there for me in terms of really looking at it for accuracy. Is there a way to partner with the chamber and really do a deeper dive to get responses? And I'll leave that all to your department or how, but sometimes it may require field visits and actually getting the responses versus filling out something more anonymous and something along those lines. I don't know. I think there's value in there, but it's just hard for me to assess this, given that it was just really all over the place.
Yeah, we can definitely improve our outreach strategies if we do it again. It's our first time doing it, so there's a lot of different ways that we can improve it.
There's a lot going on there, so I don't want to take away from those that took time to fill it out, but I definitely want more information. To me, I don't know that it's a very accurate picture of Elk Grove and the business climate. It's just really those that felt like responding. So if to the point that where we can get more respondents and do the deeper dive to improve. I think some of this was not surprising, like broadband and things like that. I think that's pretty well known. But it's fascinating. So I'm glad that you did it. But I think there's a lot more in terms of what we can do as a city, and maybe we look at our other business community partners. I really want to see more engagement from the businesses. If we're looking to improve services, we need to make sure we have accurate data. So that's just some of my initial thoughts on this. Councilmember Sun?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Tish, thanks for the information. I also think it's a worthy effort to do this, and I appreciate the data as well. But how do you trust something that's plus or minus 10 percentage points, right? Because it's not statistically accurate, and it's I think we always talk about relying on the data. So I'm wondering if there's another tool that is statistically accurate, and maybe there's not, but maybe there's a way to refine this somehow in terms of getting more participation. And I agree with the mayor in that regard. Is we want to rely on this, and it's tough to rely on something that's plus or minus 10 points of accuracy. What was I was going to say was certainly there's things in here that there's things for us to work on, which is great. And you pointed out a lot of it we are working on too. So I think all of this means it just reinforces the things that we're doing, right? Which is a good indicator. But again, if we can get a little bit more refinement to the statistical accuracy, that would be good. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brewer?
I want to thank you, Tish, and I want to thank Darren for compiling the study and what we have before us. But unfortunately, when you have 146 people respond, when we've casted a net of 5,000 people, it's inconclusive. We can't really get a good feel for how we're going to chart the course forward for the city and for the business climate for Elk Grove is definitely lacking because we don't know how many of our small business, medium business, and large business peoples are involved in this. And that's concerning because you don't want to be in a silo trying to chart the course for the city and not really hear from all the parties in addition to our residents. Because if you're going to have a good, healthy a response for a report and to be fairly benchmarked against other cities, we need more participants and we need the business community to be involved because that's vital. And I'm really hoping that this partnership that we're having with the Elk Grove Chamber is a step in that direction, and that the Elk Grove Chamber takes our olive branch seriously, because for us to be a city that is bringing in attractive and new and different sorts of economies and sectors, we have to have a good course of knowing where we're going and what it's going to look like. I definitely applaud the effort, but unfortunately, it definitely falls short.
Councilmember Spies?
So I guess I'm trying to temper my comment a little bit here because I don't want to burn bridges, make people unhappy. But I think if people are going to be part of the conversation, they should have been in the room tonight.
True. 100%.
Okay, so whoever needs to hear that out there, you probably ought to start showing up for business-related items.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate the information. If the data wasn't as, there's a lot of conversation about whether something's statistically significant or not. We have to remember that the number of businesses in Elk Grove is smaller than the number of residents or homes, right? So you can have a smaller number and still be representative of the businesses. Regardless, that simply didn't happen, right? It didn't happen, and that's not on ours. It's a new study. So, if we were to look at this, I look at it and I go, well, that's a solid C-. And it isn't, given that it isn't entirely accurate, I try to temper that down a little bit. But I think that if these numbers was what we would get on the resident survey, we'd be certainly far more alarmed, Okay?
Oh, yes.
Because this isn't pretty, right? Again, there are data problems here. So what I'd ask is, can we develop from what you learned from it, or from what we've learned from it, can we develop an action plan to improve those areas where we might have picked up a lesson, right? So, for instance, traffic sucks. Oh, shocker. We know that, right? So we don't necessarily need to address that. That isn't the greatest place for young adults. I don't think that's been a common, common complaint for numbers of years. But so I guess I'm just asking, let's try to make as much use out of it as we can. Where there are lessons learned, let's bring that forward and try to work on those. So with that, thank you. I appreciate it.
But even within all of these respondents, an overwhelming still responded that they would recommend Elk Grove as a
right.
place to live.
Right.
So it's like, how do you make sense of all of that given, say, the complaints per se?
Right. I mean, they say that they feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of goodness in there. It's a bit all over the map.
Yeah.
But where we can take a lesson, let's take a lesson and create an action plan from it.
And then I think even, for the next time, like the types of businesses, having categories so that we know who's responding, then we can see, where we need to improve. If, for example, it's just somebody in one or two sectors and not all of the sectors, that will be very skewed as well. So, the types of businesses and then even the number of employees, would love to hear and get some more feedback on that. But to Councilmember Spies' point, 100%, the elephant in the room. If we're going to talk about better partnerships, this literally includes having a seat at the table. The seat is there, and showing up on business items like this and offering ideas of how we can be better partners, not just talk about it, but be about it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I absolutely agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I address you?
Can
I address the council for a minute?
Please.
Tish did a great job presenting this, right?
Yes.
And I thank her. This is the first time we've done this, right? Like I don't know, maybe it was done before I was here. In the 10 years that we've been here, we've never done a true third-party survey that attempts to get the opinions of all 6,500 or so of our licensed businesses. So we didn't expect a huge response rate. I didn't expect it to be this low. If we were to make this statistically valid with a proper margin of error, we'd have to go from a full survey of all of our businesses to a random sample. So we're already thinking about doing that next year as a way to make this, more statistically valid. This may not be the perfect tool, right? We went to Polko because they're our partner on the National Community Survey, and this is a new tool that they have. And so we're going to take a close look at the tool as well to make sure this is the best product out there. And so I think if we do this again, and I think we should do it again, I think we should be very intentional about how we set this up so that we're getting the answers that the council wants. But I also, it would have been really easy, I guess, to receive this survey and not to bring it here tonight because the results weren't great. And that's not our value. Our value is transparency. So we decided to bring it to you and show you, we got a really low response rate, and we're just as disappointed with that as you are, and we're going to take steps to improve it. And we scored low in some areas, and we're just as disappointed in that as you are. And I'm gonna work with my colleagues, and we will develop that plan of action. And I'm confident that as we do this survey work, the response rate will go up, and the satisfaction levels will go up because we're already tackling most of these issues. So I just wanted to close with that.
I want to make sure you understand. We're not criticizing that at all. We're happy you brought it forward. We're happy to whatever the results were, we're happy to receive them.
Of course, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that at all. I just wanted to put context to the conversation.
I know. I didn't think you did, but I still wanted to be explicit about it. Yeah, we're very receiving of this information, and I think we just want to get a clear picture as well. And so, we look forward to how do we refine this tool also. And the other thing I wanted to quickly say is a lot of these things are like similar, similar to other cities, and I think we're more concerned about our Elk Grove independently. I'm not how we compare is against ourselves, right? So I'm not things like similar to other cities, that
More
doesn't.
other cities, I don't know.
And even if it did, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I'm worried about how we're doing, right,
Yeah.
independently.
As are we.
Continuous improvement.
Yeah.
I mean,
As are
that's, I think,
Yeah.
it's always a good, great goal, continuous improvement. I think to Councilmember Sewin's point, I like to see what, I'm glad that you brought this forward. We want
Yeah.
to see, because I think we share the same concerns you do. So know that we validated what you're thinking as well.
Yeah, good, good. No, I didn't mean my comments to be
Yeah,
defensive
yeah,
at all.
and Tish did a
No,
great
I just
job
wanted to make sure you
presenting
had, I just want to make sure you
what
had
you have.
that, had that context, and yes, she did do a great job.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
she
she did
did.
a phenomenal job. But if we can give the company more tools and just improve, like we said, how do we get better samples?
Right.
More businesses, diversity of business. I don't know that these were all one or two industries, which case it would be very skewed and not necessarily representative. So I don't want to overreact, but I also don't want to underreact. I really don't have a reaction other than there's just a lot going on and good to know.
Yeah, well, we're going to firm it up as we move forward. It's going to get better, I assure you. So,
But thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so you have received the info. Next up is council comments, reports, future agenda items. Councilmember Spies, anything? Councilmember Brewer?
No items to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Tuen?
Thank you, Mayor. We had our sewer district meeting today, but also last week, I want to give a big shout out to our staff here, Shandon and Jason and the entire team, and Kristen and her team. We hosted the Sacramento Area Council of Governments for a workshop on regionalism. And it was our chance to showcase our city to the 6-county, 22-city region. Thank you, Mayor, for coming by and giving a nice welcome, as well as Vice Chairwoman Raquel Williams from Wilton Rancheria was also welcomed us. So it was a really good event, and folks got to see a good glimpse of our city and learn about how to be better regional players. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Great stuff. All right, waive my report. With that, we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:22 PM. Thank you, everyone.